Welcome to Pain in the Grass, the official Lawn Pride podcast, where we dig deep into the real problems hiding in your yard. From weeds to grubs to mystery brown spots, we've got the dirt. Let's grow better together.
Imagine pulling up to your house right now, like today, as a total stranger.
Oh, that is such a hard thing to actually do.
It really is, right? But before you see the architectural details, before you evaluate the paint job or, look at the windows, you've already made this subconscious instant judgment about the people living inside.
Yep, just completely automatically.
Exactly. And why? Because of a patch of grass. So today we're taking this whole stack of research on property maintenance and we're pulling out the hidden psychology, the surprisingly ruthless biology, and the secret economics of your front yard.
It is genuinely fascinating how something we view as, just a mundane weekend chore.
Right, like mowing or watering.
Yeah, mowing, pulling a weed or two. It's actually this incredibly complex system happening right in front of us. I mean, when you strip away the familiarity of your own home, you realize that grass is doing a tremendous amount of heavy lifting for your property's value.
Okay, let's unpack this, because we are definitely not here to do a gardening checklist.
No, absolutely not.
Right. We aren't going to talk about, changing spark plugs in a mower or whatever. The source material for this deep dive frames lawn care through a completely different lens.
It really does. It treats it almost like communication.
Exactly. It argues that your yard is an active psychological signal. So the premise is that first impressions start at the street, and the physical state of your lawn is this direct, unavoidable reflection of your standards to the outside world.
And what's fascinating here is the psychology behind this. It's rooted in how human brains process visual information.
We're just constantly looking for patterns.
We are. We are constantly scanning our environment. When someone, a neighbor, a guest, or even like a potential home buyer looks at a property, they don't process the lawn and the house as two separate entities.
Oh, interesting.
Right. Their brain lumps them together into a psychological package deal.
Okay, so they can't unsee the connection.
Exactly. If the lawn is thick, deeply green, and sharply edged, the brain immediately registers the word organization.
Makes sense.
It assumes that whoever manages this space pays attention to details, maintains their investments, and, just cares about their environment.
I read that part of the research, and it made me think of a CEO walking into a boardroom.
Okay, I like where this is going.
So imagine this person is wearing a perfectly tailored, bespoke suit. I mean, it fits flawlessly. The fabric is clearly super expensive.
Very sharp, very professional.
Right. But then you look down at their feet, and they're wearing these muddy, falling apart, duct-taped Crocs.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that ruins the whole look.
Right. The suit is the house. You can have a brand new architectural roof, fresh exterior paint, pristine windows, but if the lawn is thin, patchy, and just overrun with dandelions...
The whole ensemble falls apart.
Exactly. The lawn is the shoes.
That is a highly accurate way to visualize it because, the inverse is also true. The psychological data shows that when people see a struggling, weedy lawn, their brain creates an immediate assumption of internal neglect.
Wow, internal neglect, just from some weeds.
Yeah, and this is a crucial distinction. This isn't about your neighbors sitting on their porches passing conscious moral judgment on your character, right?
It's not like gossip.
No, it is a completely unfiltered subconscious visual assessment. The viewer's brain sees the weeds and subconsciously wonders, if they let the front yard look like this, I wonder if the HVAC system is failing.
Oh, man. I wonder if there's black mold in the basement.
Exactly. The visual chaos of the yard bleeds into the perception of the home's structural integrity.
So you are basically broadcasting a signal, whether you want to or not.
100%.
You are either projecting competence and gaining a polished look, or you are completely losing control over how your property is perceived.
You lose control over the narrative of your own home. The research asks a very pointed question here. What is your lawn saying about your home right now?
Because it never stops talking.
It never stops.
But okay, if human psychology demands this perfectly framed, organized green space to project competence, how do we actually force nature to comply?
Well, that's the real trick, isn't it?
Yeah, because you can't just wish weeds away or stand on your porch and demand the grass look organized. That requires an actual physical foundation.
Which brings us to the actual biology of turf. The materials we are looking at draw a very sharp line between a professional approach to lawn care, and the standard DIY approach.
Okay.
And the entire difference really hinges on one specific biological mechanism: density.
Wait, hold on. Let me push back on this for a second, because I know a lot of people listening are in the exact same boat I'm in.
Sure.
Isn't weeding just an unavoidable fact of life? Like, birds drop seeds, the wind blows, nature just happens.
It does. Nature is persistent.
Right. So on a Saturday morning, I go out with a trowel, I pull up the dandelions, I toss them in a bucket, and I feel like I've done my job. Why is this idea of density positioned as the magic bullet? What's wrong with just pulling the weeds?
The problem with pulling weeds is that you are entirely reactive.
Okay, meaning what?
Meaning, you are fighting an exhausting battle against an enemy that has already breached the gates. If we connect this to the bigger picture, let's look at the underlying biology of what's happening in your soil.
Okay.
Weeds are fundamentally opportunistic plants. A weed seed can sit dormant in your soil for years, just waiting for two things: physical space and sunlight.
Really? Just sitting.
For years.
Mhm.
If you have a thin lawn or bare patches where grass has died, sunlight hits that bare soil, warms up that dormant weed seed, and triggers it to germinate.
So my thin grass is basically rolling out the red carpet.
It is sending out an open invitation, but let's look at the alternative. The research emphasizes that a thick, exceptionally dense lawn isn't just about aesthetics.
Right.
Turf density is a literal biological force field.
A force field, I like that.
Yeah, if you cultivate grass plants that are packed tightly together, their blades create a canopy. And that canopy blocks the sun from ever reaching the soil's surface.
So the seeds never wake up.
Exactly. And furthermore, their root systems are so intertwined beneath the ground that there's physically no real estate, no available nutrients, and no water left for a weed seed to establish itself.
Wow. It's an underground real estate war.
That's exactly what it is.
You aren't just cutting grass. You are orchestrating a hostile takeover of the soil, making sure the grass claims 100% of the market share so the weeds go bankrupt.
I love that analogy.
Yeah.
And that is exactly the paradigm shift the research is trying to trigger. When you focus on density, you shift from treating symptoms to proactive defense.
Ooh.
You crowd the weeds out before they ever germinate.
Rather than just chasing them around the yard.
Right. If you were just walking around with a trowel pulling up dandelions, you are leaving a hole in the dirt.
Oh, I see.
You've exposed the soil. Sunlight hits that exact spot, and 3 weeks later, 2 more weeds pop up in the exact same place. It is a Sisyphean task.
Okay, I am entirely sold on this idea of a biological force field, but that brings up a massive contradiction that I see in my own neighborhood every single year.
What's that?
Well, if density is the goal, why does my lawn, and frankly most lawns on my block, look like $1 million in May, but by the second week of August, it looks like a barren brown wasteland? Where did the force field go?
Ah, the spring fake-out.
The spring fake-out.
Yeah, this is perhaps the most illuminating insight from the entire stack of research because it exposes the difference between what's happening above the ground versus what is happening beneath it. We have to look at the seasonal mechanics of grass.
Here's where it gets really interesting. I love the term spring fake-out. Think about spring weather for a second.
It's perfect, right?
Right. It's cool, it's constantly raining, the sun is mild. For a plant, spring is basically like cramming for a test the night before by chugging 5 energy drinks.
Cramming with energy drinks. Let's
Yep.
run with that because the biological mechanism is pretty much identical.
Okay, how so?
Well, in the spring, conditions are so universally forgiving that almost any patch of grass can look fantastic.
Yeah.
You can throw down a bag of cheap, fast-release fertilizer from the hardware store, get a week of solid rain, and suddenly your lawn is vibrantly green.
Right, you get this massive burst of superficial top growth.
Exactly. You look incredibly productive on the surface,
You pass the pop quiz, you look like a genius.
but underneath, you are completely burning out and building zero actual reserves. Because water is so abundant at the surface of the soil during the spring, the grass roots get lazy.
Lazy roots.
Yes, they don't need to dig down to find moisture. They just stay in the top 1 inch of soil. So you have this beautifully green lawn sitting on top of incredibly shallow, weak roots.
Oh, man. And then the final exam hits, July and August.
Summer heat is the great equalizer. The research points out that when temperatures spike to 90 degrees and the rain stops, the top inch of soil bakes completely dry.
So those lazy roots are toast.
Literally. Those lazy, shallow roots suddenly have no access to water. They cannot reach the moisture trapped deeper in the earth. The plant panics, goes into survival mode, shuts down its green growth, and turns brown.
So the spring fake-out is revealed for what it is, purely superficial.
Exactly.
So wait, the people who have those rich, dark green lawns in the dead of August, they aren't just watering it more.
No, not necessarily. They actually prepared for the test months in advance.
They manage the soil ecosystem, not just the grass blades.
True endurance requires unseen preparation. Professional level care focuses on driving deep root development. It involves feeding the soil with the right nutrients at very specific times to encourage the roots to dig down 4, 5, 6 inches deep.
Because it's cooler down there.
Right. Down there, the soil stays significantly cooler during the summer and moisture is retained much longer. When the August heat bakes the surface, a deeply rooted lawn simply pulls from its underground reserves. It doesn't panic, doesn't fade.
It's almost profound when you think about it. We spend so much time obsessing over the green blades we can see from the street, but the actual battle for survival is happening 6 inches underground where we can't see anything at all.
That's the secret.
Yeah.
You are cultivating a root system. The green grass on top is just the byproduct of that underground health.
Which perfectly transitions into the final and arguably most consequential aspect of this research. If we are talking about long-term root health and structural integrity, we have to talk about the literal financial cost of ignoring it.
Yes, the economics of neglect.
Right, because the data makes it very clear that this isn't just about aesthetic pride, it is about actual property value.
Yeah.
So what does this all mean?
Well,
Here's the thing I keep getting stuck on. If the psychological impact is so huge and the biological reality of weeds taking over is so ruthless, why do so many people let their yards slide? Are people intentionally neglecting their largest financial asset? Or is there a massive blind spot we all share?
it is absolutely a blind spot, and it's caused by the pace of nature. The research highlights a critical trap here. Lawns decline gradually. They do not die overnight.
Okay, that makes sense.
If a baseball shatters your front window, the damage is immediate and catastrophic. You know instantly that you have a problem requiring an expensive fix.
You call someone that afternoon.
Exactly. But a lawn is a slow fade. It starts with, a small thin patch near the driveway in June.
And you just ignore it.
Right. Then the soil in that patch gets compacted from foot traffic.
Right.
Because the soil is compacted, water stops absorbing and starts running off into the street, which wastes your water bill.
Oh, wow.
And because it's dry and thin, crabgrass seeds wake up and take over that corner in July. By next spring, that corner is entirely dead and the weeds are marching toward the center of the yard.
It's the boiling frog metaphor. You don't realize the system is collapsing until the water is already boiling.
And this is where the economic compound effect hits. The research notes that by ignoring these micro declines, you cross an invisible threshold. Suddenly, you aren't just dealing with a few dandelions.
The force field is down.
Your soil is fundamentally compacted, the root system is starved, and the turf density is gone. Simple, inexpensive maintenance is no longer an option.
So what do people do?
At this point, homeowners panic. They run to the hardware store, buying hundreds of dollars of harsh chemical weed killers and heavy fertilizers, desperately applying them at the wrong time of year.
Which probably just makes it worse. Right.
It only stresses the dying grass even more. This raises an important question about how we view lawn care. Ultimately, you are faced with a catastrophic expense, a full lawn renovation.
Carrying it all out.
Yes. Tearing out the dead material, physically regrading and aerating the dead soil, and paying for pallets of sod or professional hydro-seeding. We are talking thousands, sometimes tens of thousands of dollars.
Which completely wipes out whatever money or time you thought you were saving by skipping the basic maintenance 3 years ago.
Exactly.
And that doesn't even factor in the hit your property value takes if you try to sell the house while the yard looks like a distress sale. I mean, the curb appeal dictates the initial offer price.
It really does. Buyers see a dead lawn, and they immediately lowball you because, go back to our first point, their brain assumes the inside of the house is just as neglected.
The overarching theme of the research is really a shift in mindset. Are you viewing lawn care as a frustrating weekend chore, or are you viewing it as asset protection?
Asset protection. I think that's the key phrase. The sources outline 3 critical pillars for a lawn that actually functions as an appreciating asset: consistency, timing, and understanding the underlying soil needs.
So timing matters just as much as what you apply.
Oh, absolutely. If your timing is off, like applying fertilizer in the heat of August when the plant is already stressed, you just waste your money. If you lack consistency, the weeds exploit the gaps.
They find that real estate.
Right. Without these pillars, you aren't maintaining your property. You are just slowly watching its value depreciate.
It's the old saying, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, but applied directly to the dirt your house sits on. With the right care, your lawn actually improves over time. The root systems get deeper, the density gets thicker, the force field gets stronger. It becomes an appreciating asset.
And that leads to the most uncompromising conclusion in the research. Your lawn is currently doing one of two things. It is actively enhancing your property's value, or it is quietly working against it. Nature does not hold in place.
There is no pause button.
No pause button at all. The illusion of the middle ground is what traps most homeowners. They look out the window and think, well, it's not magazine perfect, but it's not totally dead, so it's fine.
Right, fine.
But biology doesn't do fine. If your turf is not actively thriving, deepening its roots and crowding out competitors, it is slowly yielding ground. It is depreciating.
And I think that's the absolute most crucial takeaway for you listening right now. If you've ever pulled into your driveway, looked at your yard, and had that sinking feeling that it should look better than it does.
You are imagining things.
Right. Your brain is picking up on the signal your property is broadcasting. The biological force field is thinning. But the incredible news here is that you can completely take back control of that narrative. Once you stop just cutting grass and start managing the soil, the density, and the deep roots, you flip the script. You build the force field.
It demystifies the whole process.
Yeah.
It's not about having a magic green thumb. It's just applied biology and consistent timing.
We have dug deep today. We started by looking at how a stranger's brain processes the visual halo effect of your front yard, judging your home's integrity before they even reached the front door.
The CEO in Crocs.
The CEO in Crocs. We discovered that fighting weeds isn't a weekend chore with a trowel, but an underground real estate war won by the sheer density of a biological force field.
Yeah.
We exposed the spring fakeout, learning that true endurance requires forcing roots deep into the soil to survive the summer final exam. And finally, we uncovered the hidden economic trap of gradual decline, where small, ignored issues silently compound into massive, thousands of dollar renovations.
It fundamentally changes how you look at the physical space around you. And, there's a final thought I want to leave you with, one that extends well beyond the edges of your grass.
Oh, lay it on us.
We've established that a declining lawn is a masterclass in slow, invisible deterioration. It quietly drains your property's value and visual appeal long before the crisis becomes obvious.
Yeah, the boiling frog.
Right. It is a living, breathing indicator that without proactive, consistent energy, things naturally degrade. If we accept that there is no middle ground in nature, that things are either appreciating or depreciating, it makes you wonder, what other quiet areas of your life, your home, or your relationships are currently slowly depreciating simply because you haven't given them consistent timing and attention?
Wow. That is a heavy, powerful question to chew on. So later today, when you pull up to your house, try to look at it through the eyes of that total stranger. Look past the front door, look past the paint.
Look at the soil.
Look at the living foundation it all sits on. Are you looking at a perfectly framed masterpiece, or are you looking at a beautiful suit paired with muddy Crocs? The choice of what message you broadcast is entirely up to you.
Thank you for listening to the Pain in the Grass podcast, sponsored by Lawn Pride of North Charlotte, Huntersville, your go-to name in turf care for homeowners and businesses seeking beauty, quality, and reliability, powered by family and fueled by passion. Until next time, make sure to take care of that pain in the grass.